MetLife says they will not participate in the Treasury Department's capital purchase program as rival Genworth request to be included was denied. So both MetLife and Genworth, no TARP money. Joining us to talk a little bit about this is Adam Johnson, independent trader, as well as Doug Flynn of Flynn Zito Capital Management. And Adam, Genworth missed a deadline, very important one. Now they're not eligible. They can't get this TARP money. They can't actually finish this deal they had with this Minnesota bank to become or have access to the TARP money. You say you think they missed that deadline on purpose.
Yeah, I think they let it go. You know,
Why would they do that? It sounds like a student missing a homework assignment. Doesn't sound
They don't need the money. They don't need the money.
Why don't they just say that?
Pardon?
Why don't they just say that?
Because my theory is, and again, it's all very touchy-feely. We don't really know what's going
on. We can be
on any given day.
Right.
But it starts to sound belligerent. Genworth has been clobbered, and regulators have been all over the company. So for them to say we don't need it almost sounds a little disingenuous. You'd rather just let sleeping dogs lie, not take the money, effectively let the deadline expire to have put in your application to buy the thrift, which would have enabled you to be eligible for the money. I mean, it's all very convoluted.
So you think it's strategic?
Yes, I think it's strategic.
Now, we pulled up a couple different insurance companies, Doug, and I'd like you to take us back to a time when there was no TARP money.
Right.
And you were looking at these insurance companies, these life insurers. You know, now they have access or potentially access to TARP. Does that change things significantly for the way that you view these companies?
Well, it reminds me of that Warren Buffett quote, which is, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. And this is really what it comes down to, is who needs the money, who messed up, who doesn't. You can analyze each one on the fundamentals of whether or not they need it.
But in any other market, they wouldn't have had even the potential for this money.
And I much prefer that market, where it's more of a free market and you either sink or swim, and if you can't make it, you merge, you do what you have to do to survive. Having the access is probably a good thing to get us through the crisis, and having the access to the funds. Hopefully they'll all be able to pay it back and become an organization that can exist without it.
But see, here's the scenario we're in. So now the companies that either strategically don't want access to it or don't get approved for access to TARP, these life insurance companies, they get punished. When they're also, I mean, Genworth, to their point, to what they say, is not going out of business. They still have cash on hand. And so shouldn't they be punished for other more legitimate reasons other than not taking government money or not having access to it?
Well, Genworth has been punished for losing money, not for taking TARP. I mean, that's why the stock has gotten crushed. And then
but it seems
recently,
to go down so dramatically yesterday.
Yeah,
so
it
that
did.
Was
but remember, we're talking about a $3 stock. So, you know, if it, to drop 20% in a day, it's you know.
Good point. So what do you think about these life insurance? I mean, what do you think about the sector overall, Doug, as far as playing in insurance at all?
Yeah, I mean, most people are probably overweighted financials anyway, so I mean, we would be more equal weighted to financials. I would not overweight them. You certainly look. There's money to be made there. The problem is that you just don't know all the details on this yet, and I would just be very concerned about not knowing all of that about each of these insurance companies. A lot, Hartford and Lincoln, these companies that need a lot of this money just to survive. There's a lot of concerns if you're an annuity holder, whether or not they're going to exist and continue to pay those benefits. I think eventually, if they can exist, somebody else should take them over. But this is the problem you have right now in analyzing each of these companies. You can't really tell whether or not they're going to survive on their own merits or they have to get through it with some government help. And you always have to watch. If you're getting government help, you know it doesn't come free.
That's true. I'm going to have to leave it there, Adam, unfortunately. Gentlemen, thank you very much for that interesting conversation. Connell, back over to you now.
Yeah, especially considering what we have this morning, what we're dealing with Goldman Sachs getting government help and whether or not it comes free. And as we give you the recap of the top.